In the halls of a new school, a fascinating story unfolds when a bully makes the classic mistake of targeting the wrong transfer student. Sizing up the American newcomer, the bully smugly assumes his target's nationality equals a packed wallet. Being American means you're loaded, right? Must have quite the library back home, he sneers, demanding cash. But Warren, our transfer student, isn't your typical victim. Instead of cowering, he begins weaving an intricate web of influence. His sister, already a student at the school, offers to help seek revenge, but Warren has something far more sophisticated in mind. He's been quietly mapping the school's social dynamics, identifying key players like pieces on a chessboard. See that guy in the cap? Warren explains with calculated precision. Rugby captain. He'd sell his soul for better math grades. With the expertise of a master strategist, Warren identifies another crucial piece. The engineer's son, the only one with access to specific equipment they'll need. With a crucial exam approaching, Warren trades some coveted collectible cards to a top student for test answers. These answers become currency, passed to a strong-armed student in exchange for muscle. But Warren knows one fighter isn't enough for his plan. Through some clever maneuvering and a carefully staged injury, Warren infiltrates the school infirmary. The pills he acquires become tickets to success for several athletes' physical tests, adding more soldiers to his cause. When they finally confront the bully and his gang, it's not just revenge, it's a show of force, with the burly student delivering a particularly memorable lesson. But here's where the story takes an even more intriguing turn. Warren's tactical brilliance isn't learned from books, it's in his blood. As the son of Fred Blake, a powerful mafia boss, Warren's approach to problem-solving comes straight from the family business. The Blakes, Fred, his wife Maggie, daughter Belle, son Warren, and even their dog Malavita are actually on the run, constantly changing identities to escape their past. Their nomadic life stems from a deadly feud with Don Lucius, a rival boss who Fred outsmarted years ago by turning him in to authorities. Now behind bars, Lucius has placed a $2 million bounty on the Blakes' heads, attracting assassins like moths to a flame. The stakes become brutally clear when in Italy, a hitman named Rocco massacres an innocent family of 4, mistaking them for the Blakes. In a chilling message to the imprisoned Luces, Rocco sends the father's severed finger, a grim reminder of how deadly their game of cat and mouse has become. The aftermath of Rocco's deadly mistake unfolds like a dark thriller. Laboratory tests confirm he eliminated the wrong family, and the hunt for the real Blakes continues unabated. Meanwhile, under the protective wing of the FBI's Witness Protection Program, the actual Blake family slips away from American soil, bound for the quiet shores of Normandy, France. Their arrival is cloaked in darkness, the family's new home greeting them with shadows and silence. While restoring power and kindling a fire for warmth, Fred performs what appears to be an innocent exploration of the house. But beneath this facade lies purpose. He's creating an opportunity to secretly bury a body from their car's trunk in the backyard, adding another dark secret to their new beginning. As dawn breaks over their fresh start, Maggie, ever the optimist, ventures into town seeking excitement. Her hopes quickly deflate at a local cafe when the waitress delivers the crushing news. The nearest movie theater, 20 kilometers away. This town dead as a doorknob, but it's at the convenience store where Maggie's day takes a fiery turn. Overhearing the clerk and customers mocking Americans in French, assuming she can't understand, Maggie's response is anything but subtle. With calculated rage, she assembles an impromptu cocktail of wine bottles and gasoline, creating a trap that explodes moments after she calmly pays for her groceries and exits. Her day continues with a series of cultural clashes, shocking lunchgoers with her boisterous soda-drinking habits before finding an unexpected connection while visiting a local church, where she begins cultivating a friendship with the priest. Meanwhile, the Blake children navigate their new school environment. Warren, true to form, encounters and outsmarts bullies with his characteristic wit. Belle's after-school adventure takes a darker turn when 4 boys in a car offer her a ride. Initially resistant, she accepts only after losing her way in the unfamiliar town. Her decision proves dangerous when instead of home, they drive to a secluded lakeside hangout. When the leader makes unwanted advances, attempting to loosen her dress straps with a sleazy "just taking a little break," Belle transforms from potential victim to vengeful warrior. Armed with a tennis racket, she teaches them a harsh lesson about respecting women before commandeering their car for her drive home. As these events unfold, Fred, despite knowing better, steps outside for a forbidden smoke, a small act of rebellion against their carefully constructed new life. Fred's moment of rebellion is cut short when he spots FBI agents lurking nearby, sending him retreating indoors where he discovers something unexpected in the glass garden shed. Beneath piles of discarded junk lies a treasure, a working typewriter. This discovery sparks an ambitious, if dangerous idea, documenting his rise to power in the family business his grandfather built generations ago. A chance encounter with his backyard neighbor leads to some quick thinking, with Fred crafting a cover story about being a writer. The lie proves useful when Robert Stansfield, their FBI handler, makes an evening house call. During dinner, Stansfield probes about a missing shopkeeper, to which Fred responds with calculated innocence.
No, but if you find him, you can tell him from me I'm not going to pay for those fucking lobsters.
The truth, however, is far darker. The shopkeeper's body lies buried in the yard, Fred's lethal response to being sold frozen seafood under the guise of fresh catch. Before departing, Stansfield introduces their protection detail, Agents Dio and Mimo, stationed in the house across the street, while warning Fred to keep a low profile. That night, Fred's dreams are haunted by a pivotal barbecue from years past, the day Luke's chose to make his move. The next morning brings domestic challenges and mounting tensions. Maggie discovers Fred's literary endeavor and immediately recognizes the danger. A memoir could shatter their carefully constructed facade. Pushing aside her concerns, she prepares a platter for their FBI guardians, leaving Fred to investigate their mysteriously brown tap water while they await a plumber's arrival. At school, Belle, meanwhile, handles her own drama. First confronting a pencil case thief in the bathroom, then setting her sights on a more intriguing target. The object of her interest is Henri, a college student moonlighting as a math teacher who's caught the attention of every girl in school. Warren's assessment is blunt. Math geeks are such a pain in the ass, but Belle sees an opportunity. With characteristic Blake family cunning, she approaches Henri after class, requesting private math lessons, a calculated move that yields immediate success when he agrees. Time ticks by like a bomb waiting to explode as Fred's patience with the tardy plumber wears dangerously thin. When the repairman finally arrives, his attempt to upsell unnecessary pipe replacements ignites Fred's notorious temper. "You called my wife, took 50% up front, and now this?" The confrontation escalates violently, ending with Fred wielding a basement tool and the plumber's unconscious body being mysteriously delivered to the hospital. The doctors there puzzle over the extensive damage. A fall might explain 1 or 2 fractures, but 12? Meanwhile, across the ocean, Rocco's bloody path continues as he eliminates the seafood shop owner's family, their deaths as futile as they are brutal. They have no information about Fred's whereabouts to share. Back in Normandy, Fred channels his energy into his memoir, nostalgically recounting his days as a neighborhood protector in Brooklyn. That evening, Maggie confronts him about the plumber incident, but Fred cleverly deflects by bringing up her own explosive revenge at the convenience store, a reminder that they're more alike than either cares to admit. The weekend brings an unexpected social obligation, a neighborhood barbecue. While the Blakes view it with thinly veiled disdain, Stansfield insists it's crucial for their cover. As preparations unfold, family dynamics surface. Maggie probes Belle about her involvement with Henri, receiving reassurances that her daughter has a calculated plan for pursuing her one true love. Warren, ever practical, arrives with armfuls of soda, advising his mother to abandon her French culinary aspirations. American slop, fatty, greasy Yankee chow, that's what they're expecting. His assessment proves spot on. The neighbors arrive in droves, eager to sample the exotic American fare and observe their peculiar new Yankees. Even their FBI guardians, Dio and Mimo, get permission to abandon their posts and join the festivities. Yet the host himself is notably absent. Belle finds Fred in his sanctuary, the garden shed, deep in self-reflection as he writes. It's like staring into a mirror for hours, he confesses, expressing regret over the precarious life he's forced upon his family. Belle's response touches something deep within him.
You're the best dad anybody could ever ask for.
This tender moment propels Fred back to the party, but his improved mood sours quickly when the neighbors presume to teach him proper barbecue technique. As they lecture him on fire starting, his imagination runs wild with creative ways to teach them a lesson about respect, a reminder that beneath his civilized veneer, the old Fred Blake still simmers. Stansfield's timely arrival prevents Fred's darker impulses from surfacing at the barbecue. In a private conversation, he reveals that Fred's literary endeavor has raised eyebrows in Washington. Fred deflects concerns with calculated charm, assuring Stansfield the memoir is purely personal, while shrewdly pointing out how his testimony against Lucius has become the FBI's best recruitment tool, inspiring other Mafia members to seek witness protection. As the party disperses, Belle's disappointment over Henri's absence hangs in the air like autumn mist. The next day finds Fred confronting local officials about their brown water crisis, barely containing his urge to physically educate the unhelpful mayor about public service. His investigation leads him to the water company, where a worker's offhand comment about a fertilizer plant becomes a crucial lead. There aren't 50 fertilizer factories around here, there's only one. What follows is vintage Fred Blake problem-solving. When the factory owner proves both incompetent and disrespectful, Fred treats him to an impromptu road-dragging session until he spills the truth about the turbine causing the water contamination. Fred leaves him with his damaged bike and a chilling warning, but returns home to find Stansfield absorbed in his manuscript. Though impressed by the writing, Stansfield can't help but scold Fred for the risks he's taking. Meanwhile, Maggie's relationship with the local church takes an unexpected turn. The priest, after assuring her complete confidentiality, encourages her to confess. But her revelations prove so shocking that they haunt him for a week, ultimately leading him to bar her from the church with trembling words. "Your family is the incarnation of evil in this holy place, for the love of God." At school, Warren's procrastination forces him to make a split-second decision for the school newspaper. With just 5 minutes until deadline, he quotes a remembered line from Lucius.
"If it's God enough for you, it's good enough for me."
This seemingly innocent decision sets off an unexpected chain of events as the newspaper circulates far and wide, on planes, as wrapping paper, and finally, fatefully, into Lucius's prison cell. The innocent school paper becomes an accidental beacon, potentially exposing their carefully constructed facade and leading their deadliest enemy right to their door. Meanwhile, Belle's romance with Henri reaches a crescendo in his apartment, their moment of passion sealed against a locked door. That evening's calm is broken by an unexpected invitation. Fred's neighbor wants him to lead a discussion at their monthly film club, specifically about an American classic. The irony of fate reveals itself when Stansfield bursts in, warning Fred that the FBI monitors all calls. But Fred, ever the strategist, sees an opportunity to cement their cover story and even convinces a reluctant Stansfield to join him. The next day brings chaos as Warren's criminal empire at school crumbles. Threatening students, teachers, adults, take your pick, the school board's evidence is damning. Following his father's footsteps, the 13-year-old plots his escape to Paris, armed with forged documents and stolen cash. Before leaving, he bids farewell to his heartbroken sister, who's just learned that Henri sees her as nothing more than a summer fling before his own move to Paris. Fred executes a brilliant deception, placing a dummy in his seat to fool FBI surveillance while he sneaks out to plant explosives on the troublesome water turbine. He then joins Stansfield at the film club, where their blood runs cold at the announcement they're screening Goodfellas. Stansfield's horror grows, but as Fred points out, leaving would only draw attention. Post-screening, Fred can't resist the delicious irony when asked about the film's authenticity. He launches into detailed stories about New York's criminal underworld, his audience captivated, believing they're hearing creative fiction from their writer neighbor. But Stansfield sees the dangerous game Fred's playing and initiates Plan B, ordering Dio and Mimo to gather their families. The night reaches its crescendo of crisis. Warren stands at the train station, Paris-bound tickets in hand, while Belle takes her teenage heartbreak to dramatic heights, perched on a rooftop, threatening suicide unless Henri returns. Destiny strikes with perfect timing. Warren and Belle spot Mafia hitmen infiltrating their quiet town just as they're caught in their own personal dramas. Attempted calls home go unanswered, and their worst fears are confirmed as the hitmen methodically eliminate everyone at the police station, simultaneously sabotaging emergency response by slashing fire truck tires. While Maggie joins Dio and Mimo in searching for the children, Fred's planted bomb detonates across town, an alibi explosion that now seems tragically mistimed. Stansfield rushes Fred home with urgent warnings to stay inside, but chaos has already been set in motion. Maggie's attempt to return home is halted by the sight of mysterious men in black, forcing her retreat indoors with the FBI agents. Her desperate phone calls home echo unanswered. "Pick up the vault, please." The hitmen strike with brutal efficiency, their explosives not only breaching the house, but claiming the lives of curious neighbors who ventured out to investigate. Only Malavita's warning barks save Fred, allowing him to slip into the garden's shadows. The confrontation reaches its peak as a hitman corners Maggie, having gunned down Dio and Mimo at the doorway. But Fred emerges from nowhere, locked in a death grip with the attacker, while Maggie seizes her moment with a knife, delivering final justice. In a display of perfect timing and teenage resourcefulness, Warren and Belle arrive to find the hitmen ransacking their home, arguing over the dog's fate. They quietly liberate weapons from the hitmen's car, initiating a fierce firefight. The Blake children prove lethal, eliminating most of their attackers until only Rocco remains. When recoil knocks Warren unconscious, Belle is forced into a desperate game of cat and mouse with the surprisingly agile veteran hitman. Just as her ammunition and hope run low, Stansfield becomes an unlikely savior, using his car as a final weapon against Rocco. Though victorious, the family's cover is irrevocably blown. Once again, they must vanish into new identities in a new town. Yet Fred finds a bitter satisfaction. He finally shared his story with an audience, even if they dismissed it as creative fiction. The Blake family saga continues, their true identity forever hidden behind a veil of carefully crafted lies, moving like shadows through a world that can never know their real story.